Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampādhrita-vigraham vai Īśāvataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Sirisha Namah. Namaste. Welcome to the third talk in the series on guided meditation. I hope you have been meditating, practicing the meditation, the basic steps that we have been going through. In this series of talks on Saturday mornings, we will focus more on the practical side of meditation. We will begin and end each session with a short meditation process, and in between we will discuss some aspect of meditation which is relevant to the actual practice. So in the last week we had discussed about the posture, the asana, why we must sit in a upright position, keeping our hip, back, neck and head in a relaxed upright position. Let us start with our meditation. Close your eyes, sit in a relaxed upright position, keeping your hips, back, neck and head straight and relaxed. Visualize your whole body to be strong and healthy. Direct your attention to each part, each limb of your body, starting from your toes. And as you do that visualization, imagine that part to be full of strength and healthy. Starting from the toes, the ankle, calf muscles, knees, thighs, back, stomach, chest, shoulders, arms, elbows, wrist and fingers, neck, face, and the head. Visualize the whole body to be filled with a purifying, healing light, wherein every cell, every tissue, every organ system, and the whole organism is full of strength and health. Focus on your breath. Visualize that as you breathe in, you're breathing in pure light that fills your whole being. Every cell of your body, every corner of your mind is illumined with this divine light, fills you with purity and strength and health. Inhale and exhale in this way 3 times. Now let's pray for the welfare of all beings. Your prayers are very powerful. Send out your prayers and say to yourself, may all be happy, may all be peaceful, may all seek the wonderful divine within themselves. Send out your thoughts to the east, to the south, west and the north, above, below, and in all directions. And visualize that with you as the center, these two powerful, pure thoughts are radiating in all directions, reaching and uplifting and helping all those it comes in contact with throughout the universe. Now withdraw your mind from the external world and focus it in the center of your heart. Visualize a beautiful lotus, fully bloomed, full of freshness and fragrance. In the center of the lotus, visualize a flame, luminous, spreading its effulgence in all directions, filling every cell of your body and every corner of your mind with its divine, purifying light. Imagine that flame to be still like a candle kept in a windless place. You may replace, if you wish, that flame with any divine form of your choice, your chosen ideal, or just visualize that light to be the light of consciousness. Imagine that the light is the light of spiritual knowledge that dispels the darkness of ignorance. It's a light of bliss that fills you with joy and happiness. It's a light of purity that fills you with holiness through and through. It's a light of supreme peace that fills you with serenity and tranquility and balance. And it's the light of strength and fearlessness that makes you strong physically, emotionally, mentally, morally, and spiritually. Focus on the divine presence in you, inside you, full of grace, full of love and compassion, eager to shower His blessings on you. Surrender yourself to the divine. Visualize that beautiful form. If you are initiated, repeat the mantra. If not, you may choose to repeat the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Rama Krishnaya Namaha, or just the universal sound Om. Hold your mind onto the divine form and the repetition of the mantra within you. If your mind wanders away anywhere, bring it back to the divine within you. this way, you should meditate daily, morning and evening, for longer periods, starting at least with 15 minutes and gradually increasing the duration, building your stamina so that you are able to sit down and meditate comfortably for at least an hour. Through meditation, we are trying to discover the divine truth that's within ourselves. The Atman, the pure consciousness of God, dwells in this temple of the human body. The heart is the sanctum sanctorum. We are trying to lift our mind withdraw the mind from the outside world, calm the body and the breathing process, lift it beyond the mind so that it anchors itself in its own divine nature, and we discover that we are not the body and the mind, but we are a spiritual consciousness which has assumed or embodied itself in this physical world. Our true nature is a spiritual entity, spiritual being, full of infinite knowledge, infinite beauty, purity, peace, and all divine qualities. That is our true identity. The false identity of a human personality is to be removed and to be replaced by our divine realization of our divine nature. So that's what we are trying to do repeatedly. And when we leave our seat for meditation, try to keep a sense of the divine presence within us at all times throughout the day. In the midst of our activities, be mindful that this divine consciousness in us is the source of all knowledge and power, all goodness, and that is the most important part of what we are. It is eternal, immortal, omniscient, and omnipotent. Last week we talked about the importance of the asana, why we should sit up straight, not during meditation only, but as much as possible during the day. To keep the back, neck and head in a relaxed upright position is very important. If our posture is not very good, then you'll find that if you're leaning forward sitting in a hunched way, your vital organs in the body is all squashed up, your diaphragm does not flatten out or expand in inhalation, becomes shallow, your breath becomes shallow, and all these things are not good for the physical health of the body. So be mindful of that, and if you practice that sincerely, focusing a bit on the breathing so that your breathing is deep and rhythmic, you'll find that the posture automatically becomes straight. Today, we'll talk a little bit about this breathing itself, why it is so important, not only for our spiritual well-being, but also for our physical well-being. The technical term for regulating and controlling of breath is called pranayama. Yama means to control. Prana means the cosmic energy. So prana does not mean breath. Many people think that breath control is pranayama. So I'll give a little background to what is this energy that is in this whole universe, and a part of it is manifesting in us. The various forms of energy that we see around us, sound, light, heat, electricity, these are all manifestations of energy that are interchangeable from one form to the other. And at the physical level, in the mental plane, the same energies come in the form of mental thoughts and ideas and emotions, positive emotions like kindness and compassion and love, and all those things are the positive manifestation of that energy. Anger, hatred, jealousy, greed, lust, these are the not desirable, the negative manifestations of that energy. Nonetheless, they are energy. And the same energy again then manifests at the spiritual level. The spiritual incarnations of God, the spiritual giants exercise that power, and that's how they do tremendous good to the world. So when all these energies at the physical, mental and spiritual plane are resolved to their basic cause, that fundamental form of energy out of which all these manifestations come is called prana. And likewise, all the forms of matter that we see around us, it might be something like a bacteria to some small animals and plants and human beings and this our planet, our solar system, galaxies, this whole universe, all matter. When they are resolved to their fundamental cause, that means out of which they have come, that is called akasha. So whole creation, right from this physical world that we experience to the seven lokas, right up to the world of Brahma, every material form, whether it is this gross physical body or the bodies of gods and goddesses, everything is resolved back to the most fundamental form, which is called akasha. So akasha and prana are the matter and energy out of which this whole universe is produced from. In the beginning of the cycle of the kalpa, the energies, the cosmic akasha and the cosmic prana interact with each other, and all the lokas with all divine forms vibrate forth, and this is creation. And these two energies have some degree of stability, so that is Vrishti and Sthiti, and after some time it will withdraw back into itself. Just like we breathe out and in, likewise the divine cosmic principle, when it breathes out, the whole universe comes out. When it breathes in, the whole universe withdraws into itself. So this cosmic energy is, because our body is a microcosm as part of this cosmic akasha and prana. What we call our body is really a whirlpool in this ocean of akasha. That means the matter that was, there's no body that is really ours, because this body is a constant flux, constantly changing. We are taking in matter, when we are removing matter. We are taking in energy, we are removing energy. And in this whirlpool, we hold it for some time, and that is what we call our body. Really, there's nothing permanent about it. For example, that the energy which is in the sun, which is captured by the sun, the plant cells in the chloroplast, and is converted into starch, is consumed in by the human body, and we release that energy, and the energy flows. It's the flow all the time. The matter which is in a plant is transformed into a human tissue, it disintegrates, cells are constantly being born, they are dying, and so this is this flux. So in the human body, the manifestation of that prana is experienced in the breath itself. That's where we can see visibly the energy is flowing in and out. And pranayama means controlling that energy, not the breathing process itself. So some people think that pranayama is controlling the breath. No, it is controlling the muscular forces by which the diaphragm is flattening out and the lungs draw in air, and the muscular movements by which this energy, the air, is expelled. So why is it so important, pranayama, in the process of concentration of mind? We find that when the mind is calm, it is easier to control that mind. When the mind is agitated, then it's very difficult. When you're stressed out or angry or too many worries are there, then it's very difficult to have concentration of mind. So, and secondly, the level of excitation, so to say, of the body and the rhythm of the breath are interrelated. So when the breathing is calm and rhythmic, you find that you are more relaxed. When the breathing is very short and shallow and rapid, then you will find that it's difficult to control the mind. For example, when one is very angry or upset, you find the breathing changes. When somebody is lying down asleep, you see that the breath is so slow and beautifully rhythmic. That's a relaxed state of mind. Now we can control that breath. And by controlling the breath, we can induce and bring out a certain degree of calmness in our mind, because the breath and the mind are interrelated. So this idea of why and how the control of the prana can help us in control or control of the breath can help us in the control of the prana, the cosmic energy, which is manifesting throughout the universe and manifesting in us, is beautifully illustrated through a little story that is told by Swami Vivekananda in his introduction to Raj Yoga. That introduction to Swami Vivekananda's Raj Yoga is a masterpiece, and any serious student of meditation should read that. It's available on the internet also. Just go and type complete works of Swami Vivekananda, look in volume 1, Raj Yoga Introduction. You'll find a lot of beautiful practical tips that Swamiji has given before he gave a very beautiful, simple running commentary on the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Patanjali Yoga Sutras is the authentic text on meditation. Okay, every commentator borrows and comments on that, and we take our knowledge from that. So there he tells a beautiful story. The story is that there was a king and he had a minister, and for some reason the minister fell in disgrace, and the king, being very unhappy, sentenced him to death. And the punishment was that he was locked up on the top of a tall tower to starve and die away. That was the punishment. So the poor man is locked up there. At night his wife came to the bottom of the tower and called out to him and said, "Is there anything that I can do for you? Let me know." So he told her, "Can you please go and bring me some things that I'm asking for?" "What are the things?" "6 things, he said. "First, get me a little beetle and some honey, a little bit. Bring me a silken thread, a bundle of silk. Bring me a small bundle of twine, thin thread, and some stout thread and a rope." So the poor lady, not understanding what's she up to, went very sincerely and faithfully collected all those things, and the next night she brought these things, and he gave the instructions. "Can you take the beetle and tie one of the silken thread to its back? Take a little bit of that honey and smear the tip of its horn, and then set it up on the wall pointed upwards." And the lady did that, and the beetle, smelling some beautiful honey in front of it, started crawling, thinking that I'll reach it. And as it crawled, this honey, of course, it's at the tip of its nose, so to say. It kept on crawling, and after some time, patiently, the minister waited, and this beetle reached the top of the tower. He took hold of that beetle and the silken thread, and then instructed his wife, "Can you please tie the thin twine at the other end of this silken thread?" And she did. So he pulled it up and got hold of the twine. Then he asked her to tie the thicker thread, and she did that, and he lifted and pulled it up and got hold of the thread. And then she said, of course, "Tie the rope." And when she tied the rope, he pulled the rope up, and with that made his escape, freedom. He obtained freedom. So what's the meaning of this? In this body, there is this flywheel of breath that is happening all the time. If you have seen these old clocks or the wristwatches, when you open that, you see there is a small movement, a spring-loaded thing constantly moving out. We call the flywheel. It's constantly, very delicate, it's moving. Yet that fine movement is then communicated through a series of gears and all that, which then moves the hand and the hour, which is difficult to move. The fine energy is transmitted across. So in our body, this breath is that flywheel through which this energy is being captured. And you know that if you suffocate somebody, hold somebody's breath, in a short while that person dies. That is how delicately and we are attached to that, or fine-tuned to that cosmic energy. That means through that breath, we are capturing that cosmic energy, and that energy is then transmitted to higher levels. So the silken thread is the movement of breath. That is connected to the next level, and the next level is the flow of that energy in our nerves. Okay, so like we said, the energy flows through the nervous system. Then that is connected to a slightly thicker thing, which is called the thoughts. Okay, so nervous energy is converted into thoughts, And the rope is that cosmic energy called prana. And when a yogi, by controlling his breath and the flow of the energy through the nerves and controlling his thought processes, can lay a hold on that cosmic energy, then that energy frees him from this requirement to be embodied, to function through a physical body, or to be functioning through a mind, and to remain in his true spiritual nature. And that's how one becomes free from this cycle of embodiments, birth and death. That is what we are trying to achieve. So beautifully explained, and now we'll understand why and how that process of focusing and calming the mind, calming the breath into a deep rhythmic state will automatically will find calms the mind. And when the mind is calmer, then you can go deeper and deeper into our and approach our deeper self. So that is something about pranayama. In actual practice, there are so many methods and forms of doing pranayama, but it is advised that the more complex and complicated forms where one is asked to hold the breath, the kumbhaka, that should not be done unless one is very, very controlled in one's lifestyle, in one's recreation, in one's food and everything, because then you begin to play with this energy within. So if one is in the supervision of a spiritual teacher, leads a very regulated life, balanced life, because everything becomes very finely tuned at that time. And you are playing with this energy. Okay. And if you don't have somebody to guide you, then this energy which is connected to the mind, if something goes wrong, some screw gets loose in the head and things go away. So while it is it's a process connected to the meditation, our real goal is to control the mind, not to really play with this energy. So, but for the sake of trying to calming the mind as a preparation to meditation, some basic rhythmic breathing, deep breathing is taught. So much. And as you practice this as much as possible, of course, definitely before a meditation, but during the day, if you're sitting down, just become aware, what's my posture? Is it straight? How is my breathing? Am I breathing in nicely and deeply? Become alert and aware of it, and you'll find that if you focus on that and try to get it right, you will develop into that habit of maintaining a degree of calmness and balance, and that helps us as a preparation to that hour of meditation. In the evening, when you sit down for meditation, naturally your posture comes good, your breathing becomes very rhythmic, you become very calm and collected, you easily withdraw your mind from the things, ideas and worries or tensions or whatever the mind has been engaged in the day, and it becomes easier then to dive deep within yourself and do that in a scuba diving, not going on the surface only, not snorkeling, developing that capacity to dive deep within ourselves. Everything comes through practice, and as you practice day in, day out, some of these things become very, very natural. And you also find that if your breathing is very healthy, very rhythmic and good, it will automatically give you a beautiful health. You'll see all your tension and worries will fade away, all these lines and creases on your face will disappear because they are there constantly due to worry and tension. Your mind is relaxed, and in that relaxed mind, you are able to maintain or make the right decisions at the right time in your life, which are all very, very important. So there are people who try to practice this as much as possible in short ways. Micro meditation, they call it. They definitely do it in the morning and evening, and before their lunch break, they just sit down for 5-10 minutes and just come out, withdraw yourself from all the things and try to dive deep and enter into that inner space where the real peace is, where the real beauty and purity and goodness and knowledge and all that we are aspiring for is within us. This mind itself is the tool by which we will reach the other shore of freedom and liberation, mukti. So we have to take good care of that mind and be alert to these forces that are playing within through this breathing process. So in the last two talks, we discussed the two basic steps, the asana and the pranayama. Today we talked about that, and in the next one we will talk about why is it important that we should pray for others, how do our prayers reach out and really help others, and if it's good for us and it's good for others also, because thoughts are very, very powerful. You say a nice thing to somebody, that person becomes very happy. If you say something that's not so nice, that person becomes very, very upset. So there's power in this energy that we can send out, and we should know how to utilize it for the good of ourselves and good of others. So let us go through that meditation process once more. We'll start everyday session with the meditation in the beginning. We'll discuss some practical part of this meditation, and then again we will conclude with the meditation. And the idea is that by repeatedly going through this process again and again, this drill makes it very natural and spontaneous for you, and as you practice daily, morning and evening, you will become established naturally, so that very quickly one can settle down into that meditation idea. So let us meditate again. Sit upright, keeping your hips and the shoulders, neck and head in a relaxed upright position. Imagine your whole body to be strong and healthy. Direct your power of attention to various limbs of your body, and as you do that, visualize that each part is filled with strength and health, filled with that light, starting from your toes and ankles and the calf muscles, and the knees and the thighs, the back, hips and stomach, chest, the shoulders, elbows and arms and fingers, and palm, the shoulders, the face and the head. The whole body is filled with this divine light, full of peace and purity. This body is the temple of the divine. First we cleanse it, and then we calm it so that we can install the divine within. Let's pray for the welfare of all beings. May all be happy and peaceful. May all seek the divine within themselves. Visualize your power, your prayers going out to the east, south, west, north, above and below, and in all directions. With you as the center, wishing for the welfare of everyone, imagine these powerful thoughts radiating out in all directions, and whomsoever it reaches, it uplifts them and helps them. Pray for your friends and relatives. Pray for everyone. Now withdraw your mind from the external world. Visualize the lotus in the center of your heart. Imagine the lotus to be fully bloomed, full of freshness and fragrance and beauty. Visualize a flame in the center of that lotus, steady like a lamp kept in a windless place, spreading its light and radiance in all directions, filling every cell of your body, every corner of your mind with its effulgence. It is the light of consciousness. Imagine that light to be the light of knowledge that dispels the darkness of ignorance. It's a light of purity that fills you with holiness through and through. It's the light of supreme peace that fills you with serenity and tranquility. It's a light of bliss that fills you with joy and happiness. It's a light of strength and fearlessness that makes you strong physically, emotionally, mentally, morally, and spiritually. You may replace that light with any divine form of your choice, your chosen ideal, or the form of Sri Ramakrishna seated there facing you, full of grace, full of peace, kindness and compassion, eager to bestow his spiritual gifts on you. Focus your whole mind on the divine form, and you may repeat the universal sound Om or Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaaya Namaha. With the whole mind full of surrender and devotion, place yourself, open yourself to receive the gifts of knowledge and beauty, purity, goodness, bhakti, devotion and knowledge. Keep the whole mind anchored on the divine form and the repetition of the holy name. Wherever the mind wanders away, keep a watch on the mind, bring it back to the divine within you. mritato ma saggamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti 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 Hari